Good morning, everybody. This is Martin Wong coming you live for the breakfast show Money Talk with SmartRobie. I hope you have a good weekend. As most weekend, we have a chance to relax the mind and be ready for another week of more volatile market. What do you think? Thank you for coming and thank you for joining us this morning for the breakfast show Money Talk with SmartRobie. As we process the ongoing news that we can see, definitely something that has interested me is the market continue to correct as we see in it. So I think some of you may have know that the rubber glove and as well as the healthcare hasn't get that much of leverage that we used to. Typically, when news of rubber glove, coming out, the stock will move, but it hasn't moved yet. Partly is this due to the moratorium, which will end 30th of September, where many of the retail investors plus you and me are leaving the market, leaving us nothing much by the regular players. So are we back to the good old days before the COVID? What do you think? Let me know and type in there your reply. And again, thank you for sharing this video live FB in your timeline so more people can enjoy what we have for you today. Now let's move on to our news for this morning, shall we? Now our first news is no other than our KLCI, which continued to linger after the market tried to make just a little bit of update, just to try to have a green pentagon hovering above 1500. At this junction, it is important it stays above 1500. But let's look at the headline, what we have for you today. Now for today is no other, our focus on the fiscal deficit. That's right, our budget 2021 is due soon. So a lot of focus has been on the economy, where we need to vitalize the economy. I think many of you have seen the post-COVID recovery as well as during the COVID. Many people has lost job. So right now the budget 21 has been expected to expand the Malaysian economy going forward with the fiscal deficit. That means we are actually borrowing more money. If you look back from 2015 on the chart that you have on your left side, we really hasn't the government, the previous government Pakatan, 2018 and 2000, they were trying to fix the fiscal deficit, which means try to reduce less. That is why we see less infrastructure spending. But this year, with the budget 2021, to revitalize the economy, I would expect a lot of the projects which the previous government before Pakatan will be so-called updated, will be started up again. Because, like it or not, if you look back in the last 10 or 15 years, Malaysia economy has been really driven by infrastructure. Without the infrastructure, it is very difficult to move forward. So that's why we have the 3.7, 3.4. But the focus on budget 2021 is the explanatory deficit, which going to go beyond the 4% to -6%. That's right, -4% to -6%. And that's one of the highest in the last 10 years. So that means we are actually taking up more debts. And question is, can we able to pay back? Now, if you look at some of the advanced economy in the world, a lot of juggling has been on the political party as well as the central banks to reduce the debts in here. But going forward with Malaysia depending less on the crude oil, because crude oil, Petronas, as you know, we still have only reserve for another 10 to 20 years, more or less like that. So we are depending on a lot of sectors, when one of the growing sectors are services. But we do know going forward with the services, the next 1-2 years will be definitely affected by the post-COVID-19, which left what we have is the palm oil, the technology, and a little bit of the industrial under the EMS, which I did cover. So it will be a challenge to the next government coming in, and also providing jobs for many of you who are graduating, especially your children in there. What do you think the economy going forward in here? It will remain a challenge that we see that the country should not take up too much debt going forward. All right, now let's move on to our next story, which is another glove company, vaccine company, which is a new venture for them. Now, MSCM has been a loss making all this while. So what they're trying to do is trying to venture into this new area. Again, a lot of these are really untested. A lot of these are strictly on plans, but the stock has really moved up. If you look at the sign of things, let me just show you how the stock looks like, SCMM. All right, and you can bring up this chart in here. All right, so far you can see the market has really gone up a lot, almost from let me see here, from somewhere around 40 cents to like $2, and then went back to 140, 120 in here. So let's take a look at this one. So what's really expiring about this is all this good news finally is coming out, and they are raising private placement. Bear in mind, this company hasn't made money yet, and yet they're raising money to fund this glove and vaccine distribution. So to me, it's going to be much more of a trading buy rather than the fundamental. And also they're partnering with MMAG, which seems that MMAG has all its tentacle all over the place, because the next story, Green Packet, also have MMAG. Usually when I see a company like this, take it as a trading, don't take it so much as investing, because they haven't really proven themselves in here. What do you think? Would you buy a company for longer term investing if they haven't proven themselves, hasn't really made money in here, or just treat it like the normal trading where you have a stop loss, you have a profit objective? Let me know what you think. All right, I really appreciate that in there. All right. So next question, we will move on. The next story that we have, there's a good question in here for Alvin. Where can find money for infrastructure, right? And yes, so usually what they do, they will raise bonds, okay, MGS bonds. There are a lot of purchase for MGS bond, to be frank with you. These are your EPF and your insurance and a lot of corporate bonds, because insurance normally people buy, they have to get the bond. So the question is, government will continue to just service the interest rate, right? And that's how usually they go forward. As long as the government are able to make money, in the sense when I say making money, right, we are referring to collecting tax and exporting, collecting your income tax, collecting excise tax. It will continue to issue bonds like this. But going forward, when it comes to in the parliament, people always talk about, hey, do we have why do we need to carry so much debt? Because Malaysia is a small country, and when we have too much debt, that will affect our sovereign bond ratings, bond ratings, which mean the cost of funding will definitely be more expensive, making it more difficult to raise international projects. Mr. Martin, there's a question. If the ringgit goes stronger, what happened to the glove company? Now, like it or not, when the ringgit gets stronger, the question is how much stronger. Usually what we see like this is within the 4 to 5%, and it's not much of an impact, because the cost of the average selling price has really, the quantum of it really magnitude. So the little bit of in interest rate, the ringgit appreciation will not much be affected, because usually I believe a lot of these rubber glove maker, because of the higher average selling price, they will absorb the cost. Right, so I wouldn't worry so much about it. In the past, it has, because the average selling prices are so thin, so the margin is thin. So whenever the ringgit strengthens, it will impact their margin. But right now, they have very good margins in here. You can see even Topglove last week and Hata, they're quite happy with the kind of margin they're getting, so they can absorb a lot of these higher ringgit compared to US dollar. Okay. Advice to buy Singapore shares. To be frank with you, Singapore shares are very institutional. I would recommend many of you to look at US shares. That's one of the things that we want to cover in the SmartRobie, and we are looking to also release the SmartRobie for the US market. So that's one of the things we really want to, because going forward, I believe ringgit to US dollar will strengthen. It's just that this short period of time, at least until the election, 3rd of November, we will see strengthening of the ringgit, but it will come back on the other way around. Right. Singapore shares has been always institutional driven. Means you have to buy some of those blue chip shares. If you're looking for great companies, small cap stocks, they're going to be in the Malaysian market in there. Point is very simple. If you're going to focus a lot on your knowledge building and your skill building, focus on these two countries, the Malaysian market and the US market. That way, because usually when we bombard by news that we read on newspaper, generally they are all US driven for that. Hope I have answered your question, Mei Feng. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Thanks. I appreciate all these kind of questions to make sure that you comprehend a lot of the message that we're trying to give out in here. Let's move on to the next question. Now again, green packet in here, which have an exclusive news with Star Business in here, continue to hog the headline in here. But let's look at where we are for green packet. Okay, green packet already has a green pentagon in here. Is it gonna go up to the old high? That's always been this question here. Let me just bring it up. You can see green packet right now, it's already hit a green pentagon in here. This again is a loss making. Usually when company make a lot of limelight in the news, I tend to be very careful of them, not being too aggressive. I will look back at the overall plan, make sure they make some money first before I want to put my money. Do I say this makes sense or not? All right, it's no point someone who say I am so good, it's a lot of self-praise. We know who we are talking about, right? The president of United States, Donald Trump, he always give himself an A+ in everything that is done, including the 200K death that we see in US. He still give himself an A, and he said today, if he get the vaccine out by 3rd of November, which I think he will, because he will force it through the CDC approval list, and he will go out and say, look, I got an A+ because I got the vaccine. Now the question is going to be whether those vaccine works or not, which is another question, right? So this fella, President Trump, will try to fudge himself to give himself an A+. So back again to the story, MMAG, which is also appearing in a lot of the news, continue to hog the headline, and you can see both are actually loss making in here. Again, this in my question is more of a trading, and if you look at the chart setup, all right, in here you can see we have a huge sell-off last week. MMAG, by the way, is one of our pick on the 7th of September, and it's gone up almost 200% with that. This morning, I think good news, usually you see sell-off. Let me see, because this news here, let's take a look at MMAG, right? Yep, minus 42%, all right. Okay, so that is 126. Am I correct? Why drop so much? 126. Okay, that is 140. Let's look at the stock price right now in here. Okay, let's look at our real-time chart in here. Okay, so this, switching on to a daily chart. Okay, today is up 22%, all right, up 22% in here. Okay, so we have seen the market like that, all right. Let's move on to our next story, shall we? Now, next story talk about another small cap stocks called GUH, which is looking for approval in a solar farm. So what happened? They are engaged in a 30 megawatt solar farm for a housing project, supporting about 130 houses in Taiwan, and they are also loss making. And the question has always been, if their PCB board venturing to a new line, the question has always been the core competency. Can they handle it or not? Although the story also carried they actually joint venture with another Japanese group called Yabishi Solar Power, and they are looking for approval for the next 24 months. So having said that, we can look at GUB right now on the chart side, GUH, and you can see, right, GUH stock we will look at the stock chart here. Okay, so you can see GUH and hasn't really been sort of staggering between the 32 cents and the 32 cents and 40 cents inside here. The chart doesn't look nice in my opinion in here. So if the chart doesn't look nice, even though the story is good and they're loss making, this again doesn't warrant any trade at all. But it's good to really look at the chart setup as well as the news and the fundamental before you do any trade. Especially right now, the KLSE again is in orange trend zone, so is turning blue trend zone right now. So there are some opportunity. If it's an orange trend zone, then we might not want to look at it. But if there is a blue trend zone, we want to see the market moving a bit higher before taking some position in there. All right. Third one is the story that we have is the Sunway Malls. Okay, the Sunway Mall, which is located in the Klang Valley, and they are seeing likely in the fourth quarter 2020, 90% of the sales normalizing in here. So we can look at Sun REITs. Last week we have a Sun REITs actually fell, and I don't know, is this because on the good news the market fell down, or is it because more of the profit taking in there? So what do you think? The market has a nice move. You have climatic volume above there, then the market turned back. Generally be like this, but this gives you an opportunity to buy on the pullback. Let's look at the trading plan in here, and you can see the trading plan is to buy at 172, 163, 165 will be the next entry level in here. But again, check out Dialog. You can see in here on the right hand side of the news, it actually asks you to look at Dialog because Sunway REITs hasn't been taken. So Robie is smart enough to let you know which is the next one, which is good. We shall look at Dialog. All right. Having said that, all right. Okay, let's look at the stock chart here. Yep, Dialog looking good, and Dialog has a green Pentagon, right? Okay, let's take a look at our next story. Now, next story, we turn our shores to the US market, and it's also connected to Dialog, what we have shown you in here, okay? So if you look here, let me just bring this story in here. So what if we are saying in here that the tech stocks is slowing down? Now, this is from the US barons in here, and one reason why I want to bring the US news, because a lot of the US news, the particular one that I will pick up, it will have an impact on our sector. So you can see tech stocks slowing down, which means our techs are slowing down. Inari, Penta, they are slowing down. So what is the next sector rotation? So the next sector rotation we're talking about in here is actually into the industrial, energy, oil and gas and sector. Now you have seen that already. Now plantations, which is taking a cue from the oil and gas, and that's why we're seeing Dialog moving flow. So this is one of the reasons why those of you who's been following me for a fair while, I really want to teach you that if you follow some of the story linking back to the US, you can see how we are able to rotate out from the pharmaceutical, the healthcare, now to something which is moving now, which is the industrial and energy. All right, so take note of that. So these are little small news nugget that we want you to capture, and I hope that you all find this good. There's some news inside here about McLean and KPS, good for trading. Those I will leave it for my colleague Zac at night, tonight 9:30, to help you to analyze it for you. Today we will stick to overall market macroeconomics, so you can understand the context where we are heading from. Many of you are just purely focusing on stocks, good, but I want you to really benefit from the overall sector. No more buying a stock when the overall market is not healthy. Am I correct? Not so. You want to be buying when there is some sort of recovery or sector rotation, so that way you're in line with the macroeconomics. That's the least I can do here as an educator, and really want to fill up the empty gap of information that you don't have in here. All right. Now, next we want to move on is also to our so-called news, KLCI news. So you can see inside here. So you can see KLCI, Astro, Ideal, MC. Now MC Holding is one of the stocks that we pick, so continue to hawk the headline. EcoWest we have seen before. Let's take a look at EcoWest. Okay, so EcoWest, and we look at EcoWest. All right, and we look at the chart. So EcoWest continued to break up because of the Bandar Malaysia, but since then has pulled back a fair bit. Okay, okay, I don't want to look at this one here. I want to go back to my stock charts. Look at the stock charts here. You can see right now, okay, it has started to pull back in here. Is it a good time to entry? Well, if you are into the all the news about Bandar Malaysia, then use the trading plan. All right. Use the trading plan for here one, and you can see you want to buy at 64.5 cents or pull back at 56 cents for that one. All right, okay, let's move on to our next story. Okay, now next story is our next stock pick will be PoHuat, okay, which we came out on early this morning here. So we look at PoHuat, we look at the stock chart. All right, and you can see this is a nice up continuing trend, which actually came out last week too. So the stock that we picked, MC, from last Friday from 10 o'clock onwards, it's gone up almost 11%. P-Trans hasn't moved up in yet, so just take note of that one. So that's MCE holding. I think there's some news around it. We will see whether it will float into the news, then we'll pick it up maybe on Wednesday. All right. So that's the stock pick that I have for today. So for today, because the market hasn't seen so much, I'm just going to pick one only, which is PoHuat. All right. So PoHuat is stock pick. And don't forget, Wednesday will be our next talk for evening, the Sun Tzu Art of War, and for investor and trader, 7 strategies for making money in a market correction, especially something that I want to share with you, the book that I have here, and a lot of the context that will be taken out will impact how we look into the market. And this is the book that we talk about, a very good book on Sun Tzu and how you can use this strategy to make money in this market correction. Because after market correction, what do we normally get? The market will continue an uptrend going forward. All right. And also don't forget, 2 more weekends from now, it's our masterclass. We still have the registration open. We still have some more seats. Those of you who want to, do let us know. It will be a almost 5-day course. We have extended in because some of our coaches are very positive and are willing to share a lot of their own insights on the market with you guys. Okay, those of you who want to, the proven way to trade in KLSE and US market. And not forgetting, Liz, for those of you who are first time listening in here, do download a copy of SmartRobie, and those are the 2 codes, QR codes that you can do so, and you can get a lot of good information like what we talk about, and check out some of the stock price that we have today in there. All right. So with that, I close with my final slide. Do join our ever-growing free Telegram free stock chart from our Trade VSA trading idea, where we'll give you more than you expected, so you're able to follow us nicely. Meanwhile, right, this market isn't really super bullish yet. Wait for the rotational play. Definitely, I think last Friday, my colleague Zac has talked about plantations, and do find out a lot from our Telegram chat room. So what are those ideas too? So if not, I'll see you this coming Wednesday for our breakfast show, and the evening for the Sun Tzu Art of War, what to do in market correction. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your time spent with me. I hope you have learned something today. Bye-bye.